I loved spending time with about 150 to 200 wonderfully smart people who care very much about leading and teaching and supporting and being a part of the important conversations that are and will be taking place around artificial intelligence. Well, welcome back to Legal Marketing Minutes, where I share short bursts of current marketing news and advice. I'm your host, Nancy Merland. If we haven't met, I'm a marketing and business development advisor, and I specialize in content, social, and digital media. That means a lot of LinkedIn training, podcast launches, AI discernment, content marketing, Zoom and virtual presentation coaching, personal branding, and more. I'll stop there, but we can talk about all of that later. I just wanted to share with you a little bit about a conference I recently attended in Nashville, and it was the Women+AI Summit, and Professor Kat Moon of Vanderbilt Law put it together in just about 60 days because she saw a need to make sure that all voices were at the AI table, because she continued to see article after article, story after story, and many of these were by reputable online and physical publications that were all talking about men making decisions in artificial intelligence and that women did not have a seat at the table. And so she thought, and I'm paraphrasing here, that, well, darn it, I'm going to make sure that I help and I do whatever I can to help women blaze this trail as well, and to make sure that people understand that women also are leading and should have a seat at that table. And so she decided she was going to put together this summit for women and allies of women if they were interested in attending. And we did have one man who was there, Dennis Kennedy, who it was so nice to meet him in person. I've known him for a long time via social media, but it was nice to meet him face to face. But again, it was created just 2 months ago by Professor Moon. Her credentials are numerous, as I mentioned, and she's just a wonderful person. If you don't know her, if you haven't had a chance to interact with her, I recommend that you check her out on LinkedIn and just get to know her. You will understand why I'm gushing over her. She's wonderful. Again, Kat had a vision and she has a passion for pushing aside this notion that women have been taking a back seat in artificial intelligence. And she knew that that wasn't and shouldn't be true. And she decided to start what I see as a movement to make sure that we are properly placed to help lead and take part in these important discussions. And it was wonderful because I had only met one of the attendees out of all of them in person before this weekend, Lydia Flacchini. And we were online friends first because a mutual friend of ours, Ari Kaplan, I love Ari, started a virtual lunch on Zoom the day after shutdown happened with the pandemic. And that friendship continues to this day. But then we also met at an LMA conference. So I got to see her again a couple weeks ago at the summit at Vanderbilt Law. And so that was wonderful. But yeah, I had created friendships with maybe about a dozen others because of social media, much like Lydia, the experience I have with Lydia. And the wonderful thing about that, and if you've known me for very long, you've heard me talk about this, that we felt, all of us, the people who had not really met in person before, we felt we had already met because of the time we have spent together virtually, which is, it's one of the gifts. It's the power of social media. And I believe that after attending this summit, that we're just getting started because we had some amazing, amazing entrepreneurs and professionals talk about their journey in artificial intelligence. And these weren't just law firms. And I need to make a point here. And I think this is extremely important. I've often said, and it's really never to offend anyone in the legal profession. And this is a profession I love. I've serviced this profession and industry for over 20 years. And so this is never to offend any of my colleagues, but I have always spent the majority of my training time when it's time to train me and absorb so that I can become better educated inside the profession. I have done the majority of that training outside the profession. And now that's changing. And I am finding that I am learning more and more from colleagues inside the profession as well, which is absolutely delightful. But the wonderful thing about the summit is that Kat invited anyone who wanted to attend. She posted it on LinkedIn a couple of months ago and had people sign up in a Google Doc. I mean, that's how simply things can come together when you really want them to. And so there were people from all over. There met somebody from WebMD. There was somebody from Microsoft, somebody from the courts in Washington, state of Washington. I mean, that's a close cousin, obviously, to law firms and the legal profession. It is the legal profession, but from the state courts. And so many people from different healthcare, public health, and again, some other businesses that had absolutely nothing to do with legal. So that was really exciting because we got to learn from and listen to people outside of the bubble, if you will. And I think that's where we're going to learn as much as possible so that we can be beneficial to our firms and our clients. And so again, I would blend that with a lot of experts that are running around in the legal profession now who are also very, very smart in artificial intelligence, and I love following them. And so I follow, and I make it a point to follow many of them. Many of them are lawyers, and many of them are business professionals from inside law firms who have also developed a lot of expertise. There was a great, and I want to try to remember who said this. I'm not sure. Maybe it'll come to me while I'm talking about this, but it was somebody during the summit that said there aren't necessarily a lot of people who can call themselves experts out there, but there are a lot of people with expertise. And I like that a lot. And so that's why I wanted to make sure I share that with you. I mean, it's growing. I have expertise in certain parts of this discussion, this artificial intelligence discussion, and it's growing because I'm spending a lot of time doing what I did a few weeks ago, absorbing as much as possible, reading and listening and viewing to what is going on from people who know a lot more than I do. And so that I can join in these discussions and help my law firm clients who then need help to help their internal and external clients. So I think that's an important part of this. I'll be summarizing some of the sessions, maybe a lot of the sessions, and just stay tuned. I'm going to look back at my notes and try to turn some of them into some content that I can share with you because, again, there are some really smart people there. And I'll try to create some of them in the written word, some of them in the spoken word, some of them in the visual word. You may have heard me call that the relationship continuum, and I don't want to go into that now because I could go on for the next 30 minutes just about that. It's a concept that I teach. But some of us like reading, some of us like listening, and some of us like watching. So I'll try to create some of that content in all three formats. And along the way, I'll be sharing more with you about that, artificial intelligence generally, and what I'm learning along the way, because I want to make sure that I share as well, just like the women at the conference did, because a lot of us are doing this at the same time. And some are more ahead in their journey. Some just haven't had time to start yet. Some just aren't sure exactly where to start. One of the things that I talk about and I can help firms with is AI discernment. And I put it that way deliberately because I don't want to call myself an expert just yet, because there are people who have a lot of expertise, but I am in the middle of developing that. So that's why I say AI discernment. I can help people think through their situations and do research on what their journey and their path should be in their firms. So again, I think there are some extremely smart people that are at the top of their game and have been for many, many years studying and working in artificial intelligence. I mean, AI's been around since the 50s. So I would call those people experts, and I do follow them and I learn from them pretty much every day. But that's a longer discussion for another day, and we don't have time to get into that more right now. It really doesn't matter. What I want to do is I want to share my expertise with you. And that doesn't mean I'm giving up on any of the other things that I do. It just means that artificial intelligence is an important part of everything that I do, and it integrates with everything that I do. And just as when I've been an early adopter and some other thing, I mean, social media, for example, and digital media, podcasting and things like that, then the same thing is happening here. It is just a growing part of everything else that I do. And it's something that a marketing advisor, at least for me, should be able to do to help clients to the best of my ability. So I am on a journey just like you are, and this is moving rapidly. The changes are happening so fast, which is very exciting. But I also tend to look at things with a critical eye, with a discerning eye. So that means I don't jump on every tool that comes along. I will continue talking to you about integrated marketing. It's just that it's also going to have artificial intelligence, generative AI as part of it to help you build your practices and your business better, or to help those you serve better who are doing that. All right. Well, thank you so much for spending a few of your legal marketing minutes right here with me. If you're in a place where you can leave a comment, please do so, as I love it when I see comments. It makes me feel like, oh my gosh, somebody's listening, and that's a good thing. If you can't leave a comment, or you don't want to, you prefer to do it privately, you can always find me at nancy@merlandmarketing.com, and that's MYRLAND marketing.com, which is also my website, merlandmarketing.com. All right, thanks again for being here. I'll talk to you soon. Until next time, I'm Nancy Merland. Bye-bye.